everybody. Hello, come on, you can give yourselves a hand for coming out today for the first, not the first, but the second Climate Strike. Come on, clap for yourselves, you guys. You're out here in the cold, here to make a difference. That is something to appreciate. Amen. All right, well, happy noon, you guys, and we are so glad to be here at the Climate Strike. Today's theme is no more empty promises. If you can look at somebody next to you and just say, no more empty promises. No more empty promises, you guys. You know, we want to see our promises fulfilled. We want to hear them fulfilled, and we want to see action made in our earth, all right? Because this is our earth. This is our home. So anything that you do in your personal lives to make a difference, don't let anybody tell you it's too small. You know, sometimes I don't flush the toilet as much. You know, sometimes I cut the lights off in the room. And somebody said to me once, Reggie, you're just one person. But that one person still makes a difference. So point to yourself and say, I make a difference. Yes, you make a difference. Well, you guys, we just wanted to acknowledge that this the theme is no more empty promises, and that basically relates to stability, that relates to climate change, diversity, equality, and inclusion, you guys. And we wanted to acknowledge that one of our speakers today, Ariana Ward, who is also one of the candidates running for president of the SGA this year, she could not make it today due to an incident that happened yesterday. She is in an important meeting right now, but she wanted to be here to speak, all right? So we do want to acknowledge her. All right. But we do stand in solidarity with her and all of the BIPIC students, amen? And BIPIC means, again, it means Black, Indigenous, people of color, Black, Indigenous, people of color. That is BIPIC. We got to educate, because I didn't know what that meant this morning. So we wanted to educate you guys as well. Well, you guys, our speakers on the list today will be none other than some community members and campus members. We have Mr. Will Coburn. We have you can clap for him. We have Ismariah, also known as Is Rays. We have Laurel Plitnik, and we have Max Hancock, you guys. They are on our list of speakers. They'll be coming to you just to encourage you and to let you know a few things about climate change. Also, after the speakers are done, and we're done here at the Bobcat Statue, we will be heading down to the Arboretum to clean up. It is Arboretum. Oh, Lord. Yeah, I'm a college student, but my vocabulary has left elementary school, but that's all right. But we will be meeting down at the Arboretum, you guys, to clean up and to pick up trash. So if you brought your gloves and you brought some plastic bags, this is the time, well, not now, but later is the time to get those things out, okay? But once again, we thank you guys for being here. I'm Reginald Morton, your host for the afternoon, not the evening, but the afternoon. And our first speaker today coming to you will be none other than Mr. Will Coburn. So please give him a hand.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
All right. My name is Will Coburn, and I'm a sophomore here at FSU. As an environmental activist who has participated with countless individuals who all care about the same general issues: protecting our natural environment, ensuring that all citizens of this country and of the globe receive the same protections, renewable energies, and the basic rights to clean air, water, and healthy soil, no matter what your skin color, your income, or your religion is. I have learned that it is not the people who should be held responsible for this climate catastrophe. It is the large industries, politicians, and other leaders throughout the world who are responsible for this catastrophe. Here in America, we are faced with gridlock in Washington, primarily because 50 senators wish to talk about potato heads and Dr. Seuss books, instead of facing the fact that our nation and our world is struggling. Here in the state of Maryland, and specifically in Western Maryland, we have state representatives and senators who wish to overturn legislation that would ban fracking, which I and many others fought to ban. Why are they doing this? It's simple. So they can make money off the land, and in return, we get sicker and poorer, and our environment suffers. Here on the FSU campus, we have a president and a campus administration who do not use nor follow the FSU Sustainable Campus Handbook that was distributed to the campus nearly a decade ago. It is important to understand how we got here. We, as a nation and as a world, let our guard down and allowed the select few to run our nation and the world. This must change and end in order to fix the broken promises that have been made. We must use our power as U.S. citizens, as global citizens, as citizens of Maryland, and as FSU students to vote and call out those who do not represent our views and who are old-fashioned in their thinking. Let's stop kicking the can down the road. The time to act is now, and it starts with us and with you. Become informed, politically active, and advocates for climate change policies to protect not only us here in the U.S., but everyone globally. I'd like to end with a poem that was written by an unknown individual. There will come a time when we will look back and remember when we stood for mountains and waters with one heart and one mind, and we will weep in our victories. Until then, we pray harder, chant louder, stand stronger, and sing with one voice. Take your power back and rise like a mighty wave. Thank you.
All right, come on, one more time. Let's give it up for Will. Let's give it up for Will. Thank you so much for that powerful speech and that wonderful poem. Yes, we can't wait till the day when we get back to standing for what is right and what changes, because people say that millions of years, it won't happen until millions of years, but how many people know that we start with that millions of years today, you know? We can expand that time if we start today, so we make a difference. And we thank you once again, Will. But next on the program, we have one of our campus leaders. Well, we're all campus leaders in our own right, but in SGA, we have none other than Max Hancock. So we want you to give them a hand, all right? Thank you.
I wish y'all had taught me how to use the microphone before I got up here. That would have been really cool.
Just hold it and talk.
Oh, I can talk, that's for sure.
That's right.
Hey everyone, my name is Max Hancock. I use he, him pronouns. I was invited to come out and talk today about climate justice, and I am super honored to be included for my roles in both the Sustainability Awareness Society as well as the student government. Of course, the fact that I'm transgender gives me a little extra clout, advocacy-wise. Who all here thinks that this is going to show up on the diversity tab of the Frostburg website in a couple days? Show of hands. For sure, for sure. Well, now that me and my pronouns are here, let's talk about advocacy. Let's talk about activism. Look at all the people who have come out to voice their opinions on climate change. How many other folks would be present if they could afford to miss a $200 class? How many couldn't get time off of work to be here? The body and soul of Frostburg, her natives and her students, want so desperately for change and progress to sweep the campus. We aren't going to see that change until every cohort is represented, and that relies on the elimination of barriers. Consider how these barriers manifest. Institutions, mindsets, tradition, fear. Pardon me. You can't be afraid to destroy, and you can't be afraid to reject the systems that don't actively contribute to a better world. The barrier to ocean trash reduction, for example, is not a plastic straw. It's hundreds of thousands of pounds of mangled fishing net. The barrier to untangling that net isn't a lack of goodwill or a shortage of thoughts and prayers. It is the failure of so-called first world countries to set an example and regulate our consumption. We are not going to achieve climate justice without also pursuing the other two pillars of sustainability as defined by the United Nations. It's high time we take a look at the patterns of production, consumption, and resource allocation that have led to a night sky bereft of stars, an ocean swamped with debris, and the wallets of the world's peacemakers empty while those of imperialist interests remain sated. We've been asking policymakers if this is the best they can do, and it's time to turn up the heat, ironically. Let's practice. I want y'all to get out your phones. Come on. This is not a rhetorical device. I want you to get out your phones right now. Text your friend who isn't here right now. I know not everyone you talk to is present at the moment. Ask them, why aren't you here? Students, if they say, oh, I had a class, professor wouldn't let me out. Ask them what that professor's name is. Ask them the class number. Then tweet at them. Tweet at the school. Email the provost. leave a message with the department chair's admin assistant. Hop on Rate My Professor if you're feeling really spicy. How is an individual gonna believe that their curriculum is more important than the survival of this planet? Come on. Oh, sorry. They didn't know? Well, why not? Why not, do you think? Why wasn't every employee on this campus made aware of this event, honoring sustainability goals, one of the primary foci of Frostburg's mission? You know, that sounds like a question for certain members of our administration who definitely have a Twitter. That's all I'm saying about that. Accountability for our leaders themselves is the first step, but we cannot achieve climate justice by simply removing barriers. We must grab our friends who are stuck behind these barriers by the hands and pull them into the spaces we want to see changed. The movements we create in the interests of everybody should include everybody, and that's not going to require just acceptance, but action. The roads to revolution may be open, but is it wheelchair accessible? Does it cost money to travel? Is it wide enough for people of color to make their way to the front? These are the things that we as future leaders must consider, because it is not enough to express your intent or state your vision. You have to act on these intentions and put in the work to make these visions a reality, or risk just another performative ally, just another impotent politician, or just another fake friend. Thank y'all for coming out today. Y'all overcame your own barriers to make it here. Barriers to things both as large as getting a college education and as internal as getting out of bed this morning. I want the pride you have in yourselves to motivate y'all to demand a better life for those of us who call Earth our home. Thank you.
So I do want to acknowledge that in addition to us being here for climate change, our campus is going through a number of tumultuous situations. And as Reginald mentioned at the beginning, last evening there was a racist hate speech incident that happened at Ariana Ward and Ismael Reyes' President and Vice President Town Hall. Ariana can't be with us today, as we already mentioned. Is here. And I just want to acknowledge her for coming. Other representatives of SJ are here too, and I do appreciate that. Thank you. I see SJ President Noah DeMichael back there. Thank you. However, Iz is just going to be an active listener today after last evening, and so we're just going to move on to our last speaker, who is a Frostburg native. Her name's Laurel Plitnik. She actually is the reason that this event happened. She contacted Tracy Edwards, the coordinator of the Sustainability Studies program. Yeah, that's right. Go Tracy. And Tracy, of course, is with us as well. Thank you. And Laurel said, "Hey, are we going to do this?" And Tracy texted me and was like, "Hey, are you going to have another one of these?" And I'm really, really glad that Laurel had the foresight to put this on our calendars and have us working on it. And so without further ado, Laurel Plitnik. Thank you. Thank you all for coming out today. I'm glad you could make it. Maybe you're all thinking, maybe global warming really is a hoax. Because at this moment, right this very minute in Frostburg, Maryland, it is practically freezing. Well, that's the kind of logic and reasoning that brings me to this stand today. Consumers and producers alike fall victim to looking at what directly affects us at this very moment instead of what is impacting not only the realities of those lives we can't see, but also the futures of all of us. It's a trap that large corporations have created for us, a false sense of security, and something to fall back on. The reasoning, I can't see it, so it must not be happening. We can't see the air right in front of us, yet we know it is there, keeping us alive. This is equivalent to looking at climate over time. Impossible to see on the surface level all at once, yet impactful when viewed with scientific evidence to predict trends for our future. So, what do? We all know there's a climate crisis, but how do we do anything about it? Here's an analogy. There is a myth that recycling is an environmental panacea, or end-all be-all. You may not know that each time a plastic is recycled, it degrades more and more to the point that it can't be recycled, that it can only be recycled a finite amount of times before it ultimately ends up in the biosphere. Since 1950, only 9% of all plastics created have been recycled. And since then, corporations creating plastic and fossil fuels have multiplied extensively. Recycling will not solve all of our plastic situation, yet that is not the same as me telling you that we shouldn't recycle, where recycling is just brushing the surface of taking responsibility for our environmental actions. We can't recycle our way out of the plastic problem. The plastic problem, from microplastics to macroplastics, is solved by going to the source, reducing the output of plastics in the first place. But I'm not here to talk about the trouble of plastics. Rather, I'd like to shed light on how the same principle can be applied to the climate crisis. Yes, we should all drive less, but that is not going to solve the climate change problem. This is not to say that your choice to bike your commute one day instead of drive makes no difference in the world, because that is not true at all. Any action is a worthy and meaningful action. But moreover, going to the origin of emissions and greenhouse gases is what will combat climate change in the greatest numbers for the long term. What we really need to do is get to the source of the problem. The lack of investing in technology that uses renewable resources and rather being careless with our finite resources that are causing so much pollution. If you are not already aware, this is a problem because if the Earth's average temperature does not stay below 1.5 degrees Celsius from pre-industrial levels, the Earth's climate will spin out of control. And if you're not already aware, it is detrimental for our future if this happens. Ultimately, though, it's not solely up to us to fix this problem. Our everyday carpooling using LED lights and air drying clothes is crucial when taking responsibility for our own actions and the future, but we are not the only hope for solving the climate crisis. It is also up to the large industries and brands who helped get us into this mess. Since 1988, just 100 companies have been the source of more than 70% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions. This means that real change must come from a corporal level to stop these emission figures from rising. And almost all of these industries know that. They know that they're causing environmental problems, and they know that they need to change their ways. And for some, this realization has sparked change. Some companies have made commitments to combat their carbon emissions and become carbon neutral by a set year. Others have turned a blind eye and not committed any climate action. But let's bring our focus back to the companies that have made commitments. 101 companies have made commitments for reducing their climate footprint. But how many of these companies are actually following through with their word? For example, not only are there companies breaking promises but with entire nations like United States, China, and India, they have not met their climate goals either, and in fact have risen their carbon output in the past 5 years. This is where our climate action is needed most. Since large corporations time and time again create empty promises, we must step in and create real change. Countries and multinational corporations alike are behaving irresponsibly, and it is time that we hold them accountable, just as you and I are trying to hold ourselves accountable for our own daily actions. It is our duty to call out these empty promises, to call out these crimes against the environment. For if not now, then never. Before November 1st, 1990, McDonald's, a multi-billion-dollar international company, served all of their foods in styrofoam containers. However, today, at all locations, food is served in a paper wrapping or paperboard container. How and why did this change occur? Well, this change was sparked by the voice of the people. It is not like McDonald's cares one way or the other what their food is wrapped in. They only care what is cheapest for them. And, a matter of fact, it's not like the consumer cares what their fast food is wrapped in either. It's not like everybody's preferences changed to paper products on November 1st, 1990. It's not like this at all. What changed here is the amount of people speaking up and about the catastrophic effects of the toxicity of styrofoam, to the point that a misguided corporation actually listened and took responsibility for their actions. This massive shift was a choice that may have cost this company a little more, yet given that McDonald's is still a multi-billion-dollar company, the choice for change was more than justified. This can be a similar outcome for other large corporations if people are willing to apply pressure and demand action. So, change is possible if we make our voices heard. So where do we go from here? Well, it's time to level up. If you don't already take the bare minimum actions like recycling, carpooling, voting for leaders who put the planet before profit, now is time to start. If you do already take these bare minimum actions, now is the time to start questioning your plastic habits, your waste habits, your fuel habits, and to start questioning your habits to be complacent when surrounded by and faced with environmental offenses, slanders, and injustices. It is time to refuse the mainstream products and lies that big brands sell us at the cost of our own future. It is time to contact our glorified big businesses and hold them accountable for their actions. Organizations like Greenpeace and the Rainforest Action Network uphold the rights in our future by challenging corporate power and systemic injustice through frontline partnerships and strategic campaigns. Getting involved with organizations like these is key to creating a wave that will bring our cries to the desks of corporate policy and decision makers. It's time to level up. It's time to take the next degree of action before our actions take our Earth to the next degree. As Greta Thunberg says, it is time to treat the climate crisis like a crisis. No matter how small your voice and your power may seem, know that real change comes first from the individual. To finish off, I will now read a poem that I wrote in October last year for Project Green Challenge, which is a national movement aiming to educate students about the climate crisis. The poem is titled, Please. Please, the children cried, we only ask so much. Please, their parents sighed, we need help desperately such. Please, the fish shouted out, we just want to declutter our homes. Please, said the oceans with a pout, we have too much heat in our domes. Please, the trees sang aloud, we are being slain like a beast. Please, called a rain cloud, we cry tears that burn like hot grease. Please, the birds all squawked, we need clean air to breathe too. Please, the animals all talked, we don't belong on a wall or in a zoo. Please, the insects all whizzed, we are not evil, we swear. Please, the soil quizzed, why poison me when there is no spare? Please, all living things screamed, we are begging for a future life. Please, their future dreamed, I hope I am not slaughtered by this knife. Please, Mother Nature wept, my baby is sick and weak. Please, Mother Nature grieved, except she remembered something very unique. The humans on this earth are so privileged in this issue. They choose if they live or if they die. So why not help everything living here too have that privilege and help life get by? Why not use the power that they all possess right now to help before it's too late? Because how hard can it be to make a future that is good, to wipe out the greed and the hate? All living things are on the same team. So how can one species be so selfish? That's absurd. So please, with your power to choose yours and others' fates, take action right now and spread this word. Thank you.
Well, I guess I don't have to tell you to keep on clapping for Miss Laurel. Yes, that was a wonderful speech, a wonderful poem, and we thank her for getting this whole event in the go. So we thank you so much. And also we thank Max for that wonderful speech as well, and that wonderful, it was so good to hear a lot of facts that I didn't know before, like the corporations take up a lot of it, and as Max was saying about a lot of those facts earlier. So it's good to educate each other, you guys, and know that we all make a difference, and it's not just about us. About me or about you, it's about all of us. All right, you guys? So when you make these decisions, you look at the future of our children, of our grandchildren, and of our friends and everyone around you, all right? Well, you guys, we thank you so much for coming today. My name is Reginald Morton. I've been your MC. Now we're going to end up going down to the Arboretum. I got to think R and burrito. Arboretum. And we're going to go down there and clean up. So once again, as I said earlier, if you have those gloves and bags, this is the time to get them out. We're going to go clean up some trash, you guys, and make the world a better place, all right? We thank you guys for coming out, and hopefully that this next move will get your blood warm because it's a little cold. All right. Y'all be safe.
Excuse me, so sorry. If you are confused about how to get to the Arboretum, Laurel here is going to lead. So if you're not sure how to get there, please just follow her. If you're not joining us, that's all right too. Thank you for joining us up here at the Bobcat